Why?
Maybe I deserve... I'm telling you the truth, Bob.
Yeah, well...
I want
look,
you to be the old Bob Grant that we knew before.
All I want to be is what I am today in the year 1996.
But you've changed.
Yeah, well, that's too damn
Don't
bad.
you think you've changed?
No.
Well, I do, and I think other people have thought so, too.
You know, I think it'd be a great idea if you change.
I don't intend to change.
Why don't you get a brain transplant? Why don't you get a brain transplant? Huh?
Bob,
and listen, let me tell you something. Have you ever heard of Fixodent?
You are not the same Bob Grant.
Have you ever heard of Fixodent?
For his honesty.
Get off my phone. Hey, Chris from Philadelphia. What's on your mind?
Hi. I am just so thrilled to talk to you.
Well, you shouldn't be. You should disdain me. You should say, where's the old Bob Grant? Where's the old Bob Grant?
I thought, what a person to follow.
Yeah, well.
I'm going to make this real quick. I got a dozen things. I'm going to make it real fast.
Okay.
You used to be here a long time ago, but I didn't appreciate you when you were here in Philadelphia. Then my husband came home about 8 or 9 years ago, driving between Philadelphia and New York, was talking about you. So one day I'm in the kitchen, and I pick you up by flipping the dial at the AM. And
yes.
A very poor connection, but I was able to listen to you. And then we were away on a Navy reunion last year down in St. Augustine, and a couple were listening to their radio, and we started talking about talk radio. And when she told me that, you were leaving, and I thought, I can't believe this. So when I come home, I put WOR on and moved it down the dial, and I found you. And the most wonderful thing has happened because you come in better there than you did before. So now I have you just like you're in Philadelphia.
Well,
so it's really been amazing.
The station here in New York really booms in loud and clear.
It comes in beautiful in Philadelphia. It just comes in perfect. I listen to you, and because of you, the gentleman follows you. I can't think top of my head.
Barry Gray, a living legend. This man is a legend.
Man. Yes. Beautiful man. Then I listen to Dr. Joy Brown in the evening. And I'm even caught up with the woman that does about the restaurants and the things of New York.
Great.
And you become my station. And on top of that, our Dominic Quinn in Philadelphia.
Defending murderers who've been caught with a knife in their hand. I mean, like O.J. or something like that. Mm-hmm. He'll be great because he's the type who would say, what are you going to believe? Are you going to believe what... Are you going to believe all this stuff, or are you going to believe your lying eyes? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, do you have another moment?
Barely.
Oh, okay. Well, there was just one thing. When Webb Hubbell, the last time that he testified before the committee there, and Alphonse D'Amato asked one of the last questions, and he indicated, he said to Webb Hubbell, he said, I hear you got a job as a consultant for some foreign firm in a foreign country. And he said, was that sort of a payoff to you? And, of course, Webb Hubbell really lit into Senator D'Amato. And then Senator D'Amato just backed off. But he indicated that he was going to follow up on that, but he never did.
Well, this is what is frustrating. We keep coming. It's like going to the water's edge, mm-hmm. and you barely stick your big toe in, and then you walk away.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going on and on and on. We keep hearing this about the First Lady. And obviously there's a lot there.
It sure is.
When you have all these people, virtually a day doesn't go by that we don't hear of something that leads back to Hillary Rodham Clinton, and then the other shoe doesn't drop.
That's the point.
That's what's so...
That the Navy should have been called in immediately because they go under the water to investigate. The Coast Guard is on top of the water. And she suspected the Clinton administration of being, trying to cover this thing up.
Well... nobody has more contempt for this administration than I do. Nevertheless, I simply do not believe that is a valid statement to make, that they're trying to cover this thing up. They may be waiting for the propitious moment to make a dramatic announcement. That's possible. But when you say cover up what?
I don't know. I mean, if there's a problem here, The Navy should have been called in immediately.
Well, I didn't know. You know, suddenly we have so many experts on this sort of thing. It's amazing. And usually the experts are, shall we say, mature ladies. Thank you, ma'am. All these experts, they can look at a TV screen and see exactly how the metal was either imploded or exploded. It's amazing. And now we have Susan, who's an expert on the Navy goes underwater. The Coast Guard is on top of the water. Never heard of divers going down below. Oh, dear me. I don't know. What do I do this kind of work for? I'll tell you why. Because it's easier than real work. Steve from Suffolk County. Yes, Steve, what's on your mind?
Yes, good afternoon, Bob. This is in relation to the abortion issue that's coming up now and the way the press and media are building this like the number one issue for the Republican Party. And I'm sorry if I'm going over old ground today. I didn't get to hear your program earlier, so I'm not sure. But anyway, it seems ridiculous to me that this vote took place yesterday within the platform committee, and I guess it was 107 to 12 vote in favor of not putting in the tolerance platform. Do I agree or don't agree? I don't agree with it, but too bad. That's the issue that has taken place. The vote has taken place, and now it's a done deal. Why does the media keep on building and making this like this is the number one issue for the Republican Party? I'm a Republican. I'm pro-choice, okay? There's all sorts of issues and different sides on each issue. It's been solved. Why doesn't the media get off it and get onto the tax reform of 15% that Dole wants to put into place? Why don't they build that? That's what American people are concerned about. So I think I heard a figure, 75% of the people in America really don't care about the abortion issue. There's fanatics on both ends, and that's it. The other 75% of the people don't care. Why does the press want to shove this down everybody's throat and try to show that there's a problem within the Republican Party instead of taking the main issues? I mean, we didn't hear anything about the Democrats' platform committee. We didn't hear anything of what was going on with that. They had it closed doors, bing, bang, it's over, and nobody says boo about it. But yet the Republicans bring up the issue and discuss it and
all of a sudden, the Arab vote is so crucial. All of a sudden, overnight, it's the Arab vote. Elections turn on the relatively few Arab voters in the voting mix. I tell you, I yield to no one. I yield to no one when it comes to appealing to ignorant, uninformed people. George from Jersey City on the Bob Grant Show. Hello, George.
Yeah, hello, Bob. How are you?
All right, sir.
I know it's a nasty thing. Okay, Bob, listen. You know, it's very depressing when you look up and see this slick Willie 20-some-odd points still ahead after Mr. Dole came out with the tax cut and everything. I don't know how people are thinking. Number two is I'm a little disappointed in the keynote speaker, Congressman Susan Molinari. For the simple reason, though, she knew she had made this statement to a television station. And why would she come up and make another statement saying the things that she never tried this? I mean, didn't she tell Bob Dole these things before this would all come out? I mean, I can't understand her thinking.
You're talking, obviously, about the statement she made in 1992 that she had never smoked marijuana.
Right.
And then recently making the statement that, she did actually smoke marijuana. She said, close to 20 years ago, I did experiment with marijuana. Looking back on it, it was the wrong thing to do. If I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't have done it. As a mother, I wouldn't even want my daughter to experiment with it. And she told the Staten Island Advance, I don't want to minimize it. It was stupid. It was a mistake. Your point is what, George? That she shouldn't have come clean now?
No. I like her, and I'm glad she did come clean. I'm just a little worried that anything the Democrats would try to use anything that could hurt Bob Dole. And,
of course, that's what they're all about. But
right.
I suspect that what this is all about is the old saying that before somebody else blows the whistle on you, you blow the whistle on yourself. It takes the sting out. So apparently somebody from the Washington Post had some kind of information that about 20 years ago, Susan Molinari did what a lot of people... I think I'm the only guy in the country, and I don't have a halo, who never tried it, really.
You're probably one of the squares, Bob.
And anyway, she said she probably figured, hey, let me get it out because somebody else is going to reveal it. And this way, it really doesn't mean a thing. I mean,
I don't think it do neither, Bob. Well, one last thing, Bob. I just hope that Ralph Reed and Jerry Falwell and the rest of them, you know, they said there's going to be a compromise. I hope they don't try to do anything that disrupt what's going to go on next week because, listen, we need all the prayers and all the votes and everything that we can get. I'm not foreign to Kemp, but who knows? Maybe he's not even going to pick Kemp. But right now, he's stating that he hasn't made no choice yet. So
my feeling is this, George, and it may not be the most positive, the most ringing endorsement, but my feeling is this. He could pick anybody. It's not going to hurt. And it might help.
Well, let's hope it helps because, I'm not feeling very good right longer now, Bob.
Well, I'm concerned, quite frankly, with holding on to the Congress. We've got to hold on to the Congress. We've got a chance to do that. As far as the top of the ticket is concerned, well, miracles do happen, and that's what it will take. Thank you very much. And it's a shame that this paragon of sleaze, that this epitome of duplicity will be rewarded with a second term. That is the shame. That is the shame of it all. And he can thank his lucky stars that a man who apparently is totally inept as a campaigner is the guy opposing him. Anyway, I'm Bob Grant, and what's on your mind?
This is the Bob Grant Show on WOR. Barry Gray.
I have Mr. Stephen Moore on the line. He is the Director of Fiscal Policy Studies for the Cato Institute in Washington.
One of the problems I have with raising the minimum on drugs, for example, and with their confiscation or forfeiture act, it would do more damage to this country than his slickness could ever do.
War on drugs would do more damage?
Oh, absolutely. Bob, they're charging... The war on drugs is really a war on civil liberties, and the Democrats recognize that at least. I'm not a Democrat.
Well, how come then, Jim, that the ACLU has been blasting his slickness for his anti-terrorism bill?
Well, I guess who knows what he's doing, okay? My point, I don't know what Clinton does from one day to another. All I'm saying is that with Clinton in the White House, at least we'll have some restraint on...
cut it out with restraint. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Oh, sure it doesn't.
I tell you, you get the Dope of the Day award. I think I'm going to start giving a Dope of the Day. This guy, give it to Jim in Cooper City, Florida. Get off my phone. Good heavens. Good heavens. What's the guy drinking? Swamp water? Doug in Connecticut. Hello, Doug.
Hello, Bob. It's an honor to speak to you. My mother listened to you for many, many years. When I didn't agree with you, I was a liberal then, but I've changed. She's gone now, but now I listen to you every day.
Okay.
But I just turned off the Clinton News Network, and they're foaming at the mouth. Here you got Judy Woodruff and Schneider. They are so happy, and they have Bill Bennett on, all the traitors to Dole during the primary. He wasn't my primary choice, but if they wanted to win, they would have picked a guy like John Kasich, who has charisma, young, from the Midwest, Ohio. But Jack Kemp, let me tell you, he's for welfare benefits for illegal aliens in California. He was against the Proposition 187, and he's going out of his way to try to appease the liberal element. He should be at the Democratic convention, and I think it's a big mistake. I was willing to go with Bob Dole if he picked somebody reasonable, maybe as I said, either a...
Well, John Kasich would have been an excellent choice.
Cheney, Kasich...
The preventative against that happening would be to keep and increase the Republican edge in Congress. That's what we have to do. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I don't know where the time goes. We get on the telephone and talk to this person, that man, this lady. It just seems to just hold one.
Clinton, he goes to the NAACP meeting. Dole doesn't go. Dole doesn't go to Ron Brown's funeral. I forget about the man personally, the position. He was the Secretary of Commerce. Dole doesn't go to speak before CORE. Here you got Clinton escorting Muhammad Ali out of the Olympics by the arm.
Well, that's...
People grasp a warm personality, and that warmth is more important than white water or shacking up with all the broads in Arkansas. Dole is an iceberg, and that's what people separate themselves from.
And you know what's so sad about all this? First of all, the escorting Muhammad Ali, that's because he was President of the United States, and that's why incumbency is so important. But you know what's so sad about all this? On a personal level,
Yeah.
Bob Dole is a very warm, decent human being.
And he doesn't show it.
No, it doesn't come across.
You know, it's not
You're right. Hey, look, Rich, I'm not here to. I'm not intending to argue with you.
I know. Yeah.
Because what we're talking about is more subjective than anything else. Okay.
Right.
So you are entitled to your subjective response, and I'm entitled to mine.
Yeah.
We don't really differ in our overview of the situation.
Right.
All I'm doing is telling you that from my contact with Bob Dole over the years, I find that there's two Bob Doles. There's a Bob Dole that comes across like a wooden Indian, a la Al Gore, who also has no personality,
Exactly, yeah.
and the very warm, really decent human being that Bob Dole really is. And it's a shame. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think, in view of what you've said and in view of the fact that I agree for the most part,
Right.
do you think that Jack Kemp, who does project the warmth that you talk about, do you think he'll make a difference?
No, Jack Kemp I don't like. He's got too rough of a persona.
Board meeting the other night, and I got up to speak, and when it was over, somebody came over and said, you know, you have a very distinct voice. Lou from Manchester. Of course, he was referring to me on your show.
He recognized you from your appearance on the Bob Grant Show.
Yes, he did. When I was up at the mic at the board meeting.
Well, you're...
Anyway, we got to keep our fingers crossed, because every time I see Slick Willie on the phone with that miserable grin on his face, I quiver, I shake.
Well,
you ought to have 4 more years.
You ought to contact the founder of the United Taxpayers of New Jersey.
Well, I've spoken to Sam. I've spoken to him in the past couple of weeks about some stuff down here.
Well, you ought to tell Sam that you feel very sanguine about the addition of Jack Kemp, because I talked to Sam earlier today, and he doesn't share your ebullient feeling about the addition of Jack.
Well, then I'm going to have to talk to him.
Straighten him out.
If I can sway him. He's not going to sway me away. I got to try and sway him.
Well, and tell him to get a life, will you? Tell him, get a life. Just say that. He'll know who told you to say that.
Hey, we all can't agree, and I disagree with Sam a lot, and he disagrees with me. That's what makes horse racing.
Okay, thank you very much, Lou. And we leave Lou of Manchester, and there's Steve of WOR Traffic, as in Steve Reggie.
All right, good afternoon once again, Bob. If you're making your way to one of our crossings, those are quite busy this afternoon and this evening. We've got lots of backup at the Lincoln Tunnel, a half-hour wait on the outbound side, inbound 20. The Holland Tunnel's 20 minutes outbound, 15 on the inbound side. Throgs Neck up to a 40-minute wait going Queensbound. 20 toward the Bronx. The Whitestone Bridge, about 20 minutes in each direction. And the Midtown Tunnel's backed up each way, too. 20 minutes each way there. A lot of heavy delays, too, on westbound 287 from White Plains all the way to the Tappan Zee Bridge. And the eastbound side of 287 had previous accidents, exit 9 and 11. Your car is a dangerous place for a child without a car seat. Through Project Safe Baby, Midas makes it easy to afford a Century 1000 car seat for a wholesale cost of just $42. See your Midas dealer for details. That's an update on traffic at 6:17 on the Bob Grant Show on WOR.
Ginkgai has been repeatedly proven to improve memory and concentration because only Ginkgai uses the proven ginkgo formula LI 1370. Proven. Verified in clinical studies, validated by independent researchers, proven to improve memory and concentration. And that's something to think about. Proven. So when it comes to ginkgo, think Ginkgai from the makers of Kwai. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. Ginkgai is not intended to treat or prevent disease. Consult your doctor.
Do you have trouble sleeping through the night?
Here's news from SunSource.
When we're young, our bodies produce melatonin naturally, which helps us sleep soundly.
But as we age, we produce less and sleep less.
So how do we get the sleep we need?
Take
because he's about to go to jail, doesn't want to go to jail, and they say that he is thinking about talking to Mr. Starr. Wouldn't that be terrific, Bob?
Well, it would be terrific if he would say what I think he could say and should say, yes.
Exactly. And, if there's a God in heaven, Bob, and we know that there is, they're not going to let this happen the second time to us. Really and truly. Really and truly. We've paid our dues this last 4 years.
Okay.
And I think we deserve something better.
All right.
Have a good trip, Bob.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much. Okay, George from Queens on the telephone. Hello, George.
Speaking of the God in heaven, this is George the Atheist, Bob.
I know. What timing, George? What timing?
Bob, the topic of my call is that 50% of that two for the price of one duo, the Rosa Luxemburg of America, the reincarnation of Madame Blavatsky, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Now, Bob, you had a statement that got rid of Jim Florio in '93, and that was Florio free in '93, and it worked magic. It was almost like you reciting the what's that thing you recite to get the people to call? The Kabbalah 7.
Oh,
that's
the Kabbalah 7.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Don't forget. Okay, I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
Well, anyway, I have a perfect statement to get rid of this, the Gorgonzola hanging from the Italian delicatessen ceiling.
Okay, all right.
And that is, heave ho Hillary. Now, Bob, I know you like poetry that rhymes. Now, just think about it. Florio free in '93, heave ho Hillary.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right. You know, you overlooked in '94, end the regime of the Sfachim.
Bob, it's amazing. It's amazing. You're another Virgil.
Virgil. All right.
Bob, one more thing.
Yeah.
You know, I've been listening to your program for a few months now, and you've had some real winners, real beauties of Bob Grant shows. Whatever happened to those two well-appointed guys? I think they come from that noble institution known as the Radio Hall of Fame. Have they gotten your new address? Have they gotten lost in the traffic of downtown?
Now, I wonder who you're talking about.
You know, the two messengers from the Radio Hall of Fame.
Oh, I see. Well, as a matter of fact...
You know, the guys with the pistolas.
Wait a minute. George, what? You know, you must have known something. Because I'm looking up in the control room.
Yeah?
And guess what? The two gentlemen with their beige suits, with the caps and the boots and the pistolas, have just arrived with their UPS truck. They're using a UPS truck today.
Uh-huh.
And they have asked Rob Barrett's, our gentleman of distinction at the controls, for tapes of round 1, 2, and 3 to be wrapped in gold foil to be placed in the Radio Hall of Fame archives.
Bob, it's wonderful. I thought they got lost.
Isn't that incredible? As a matter of fact, they're indicating that they... I see. They were not told the address of our studios until now. Okay.
Do they have their jaunty caps?
What's that?
Do they have their jaunty caps on?
Oh, the jaunty caps are there, just slightly tilted to the left. Tilted to the left.
Thanks a lot, Bob. Good luck in San Diego.
Thank you, George. All right, yes, they used to pick up the Radio Hall of Fame. That's right, the tapes. Joe from Westchester, New York. Hello, Joe.
Yes, Mr. Grant, I'd like your opinion on something. Since the beginning of the year, the Democrats have been screaming how many jobs they have created, from 3 million to 10 million.
Yes.
But yesterday, buried on page 80 in the Daily News, there's this little column, the number of Americans who have lost their job this year has jumped to 79% since last month. And the average per month since the beginning of the year is roughly 44,000 jobs lost every month. and yet nobody in the Republican Party challenges these figures. Could you give me your opinion on that, sir?
Well, those figures should be challenged.
I agree with you, but you let some people say for 1,000 hours, so to speak, about nothing just because they agree with you.
First of all, Alexis, I don't know what you're talking about, but...
Well, every time I call you and I try to give you, a factual or points of discussion, and you go off, and you always...
Really? What are you going to do? Are you going to complain to the telephone switchboard operator that...
No, but...
because her name is Abigail Parge, and she does not take kindly to complaints.
No, but what I'm trying to say is just that if someone disagrees with you and say, well, Clinton is good for the country or this or that, you just, have a tirade over the phone and just...
I don't understand. You seem to be so troubled with the Bob Grant Show. I don't know why you listen to it. I don't know why you call it. I don't know why you have anything to do with it. Unless you're a moth and you think I'm a light bulb. Alexis must be a moth, and he thinks this program is a light bulb.
I'm just like the rest of your fans. I wish to say something.
All right, go ahead.
No, that's it. I just want to say, I don't know. That's not what I really want to say. But you've been harping on where you're from and all this thing. It's trivial. I'm here over 30-something years. I'm an American. I serve in the military, and that's it. But it doesn't matter.
Yes?
You're just going on, and it makes no sense. I just want to tell you...
What makes no sense?
Past weeks, you know what you did.
No, I don't know what I did. If I hung up on you, you probably got on my nerves.
Well, how could I get on your nerves?
See, you're not getting on my nerves today, but in the past, you might have gotten on my nerves.
Oh, I see. 2 words and I got on your nerve. Well, I guess I apologize.
You're a funny guy.
Yeah, I am.
You really are. You're a funny guy. 2 words.
Just 2 words, if at all. 2 or 3 words, and whammo.
I'm going to give you a complex. I'm going to give you a complex, Alexis. Listen, I appreciate the call, and I'm sure we'll have a few conversations in the future, right?
All right.
All right. Thank you, sir. And I'll tell you what we'll do right here, right now. We'll get to Bob Dole, all things considered, made the selection at this stage of the game he had to make, and I give him credit for doing it. It was a gutsy move, and I thank you very much. And that doesn't, you don't have to write to me and say, oh, what are you endorsing, Kemp? Yeah, I'm voting Dole Kemp, if that's the ticket. If it's Dole, bless you, I'd vote for Dole. That'll show. I'm talking about production assistant Rudy, bless you.
These days.
Pandering? I don't know what you mean by pandering. Is this Tom from Bricktown?
Oh, you got this guy, Chris Darden.
No, this is...
He lost the
I love Chris
major case
Darden.
in this
I
country.
love Chris
The biggest
Darden. I think
case.
he is a brave,
He's a
courageous...
He's a phony.
Hey, look, jerk.
Token.
I love Chris
And
Darden.
you love Chris Darden.
That
You're
doesn't
a
make
phony,
me
Bob.
catering to blacks because I have this feeling for Chris Darden. What's the matter with you?
You guys are incompetent.
Hey, listen.
Number one.
Get off my phone, you fink. There's the guy. His real name is Tom. He calls from Bricktown, but he gives different names in different towns in New Jersey. Today he was Jimmy from Garwood. He has more aliases than Paul Needlenose Minaj. All right, let's try George from Queens. Hello, George.
Mr. Bob Grant, King of Talk Radio. I'm homesick, but I got to call you and I got to wish you the best of luck when you go to the convention, because I really wish that you had Mr. J. Diamond as your sidekick. He had a lot of class to the show with his imitations of that screwball Sharpton. He'd make a lot of fun. But, I'm just saying that. I wish you luck, Mr. Bob Grant. You're a fine gentleman. I always listen to you.
All right, George, I thank you, and I got to get a hold of Jay. He thinks I have a Borregas on him, but when you're paranoid, do you think everybody's got a Borregas on you? I don't have a Borregas. Hey, Jay, if you're listening, no Borregas, no Borregas. Let's try, who? Bonnie from Brooklyn? Hello, Bonnie from Brooklyn.
Yes, hello, Bob. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I like Bob Dole very much. I think he is a terrific candidate.
Pander to the poor. Why do we pander to the poor? Why is it that a candidate says, I'm for the poor, therefore I'm good?
I don't know. That's what I would love to know.
I mean, how about a guy saying, I'm for the taxpayer that's carrying everybody on his back? How about that?
You said it. That is exactly how I feel. I don't understand why, and my in-laws aren't even poor people. I don't understand what kind of mindset liberal New Yorkers are in, that they think in terms of these cliche ideas that you're for the poor or against the poor, but you can't be for the middle class. I don't even know what it means.
If they're so concerned with the poor, I'm sure they're giving the charities every opportunity they get, right?
Oh, I don't know about them giving.
Oh, I'm being facetious.
Oh, but even your caller who called before, I don't remember the gentleman's name, who said, for example, that he doesn't think Dole will get in, or he doesn't like Dole because he's icy, whereas Clinton is warm. What does that mean?
No.
I don't get it.
All right, Bonnie, you don't get it. I'll try to explain. This is, like it or not, this is a television age. And television is not kind to Bob Dole. The fact that Bob Dole is a far superior person to Bill Clinton, the fact that Bob Dole is much more worthy of being President of the United States than Bill Clinton on his best day ever could be is neither here nor there. It's what comes across on your television set. And that's what this guy's talking about. In other words, what he's... Well, I'll tell you something. Somebody said, how do you feel about all these whippos, wackos, weirdos, sickos? How do you feel about all of them out there? And I said, well, the fact of the matter is, if they weren't out there, I might have to find some really hard work to do with heavy lifting. But, of course, no heavy lifting here. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue and conclude on the Bob Grant Show. Carl Van Head giving his correct name.
This is the most...
I want to congratulate you, Carl. You're giving your right name for a change.
Oh, come on.
You're not trying to be a stealth caller. You're not trying to be a stealth caller. God bless you, Carl. God bless you.
Yeah. You're going to hang up on me and call me a name?
I'm listening. I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you to call me the name.
I'm not going to call you a name. Let's be honest here. Do you honestly believe, after looking at this convention, knowing what I know and knowing what you know about politics, you honestly believe that this is the real Republican conservative people who were up on those podiums and on that stage?
Well, what are they?
Give me a break.
What are they?
They are the medium wing of the conservative Republican Party, and you know it.
No, I don't know. I don't know anything of the kind. Let me tell you something. I spent Sunday morning.
Did you hear Newt Gingrich?
I spent Sunday morning with J.C. Watts. You ought to get together with J.C. Watts. Maybe he could teach you.
This is a man who scored a 3 on his SATs, and he's against affirmative action. The only reason why he got into Oklahoma College because of affirmative action, and he used to be a Democrat. Come on, don't play games with me, sir.
No, he had a football scholarship for very good.
And he scored a 3 on the SATs. Do you think I could score a 3 on the SAT and not play a sport and get into college?
I don't think you're capable of scoring a 3. I think you'd be lucky to score a 1. I get off my phone.
Let me give you a little history. 70 years ago, in the 1920s, during the Coolidge administration, the tax rate for the alleged higher income people was something like 50%, and they paid approximately $70 million into their tax revenue. In the Revenue Act of 1926, which was Coolidge's, let's call it a pet peeve. By 1927, 1 year after the act, he reduced that rate to 20%, and the income rose to $230 million, 3 times as much, with a tax cut. The people in the lower range, in the $10,000 range, which is basically the equivalent in this day and age of $35,000 to $70,000, they were paying approximately $130 million in 1923. After the Act of 26, they paid $20 million. The federal budget shrank. The national debt was cut in half. The nation's wealth increased by 18%. Among other things, educational spending rose 4 times, resulting in the illiteracy rate being cut in half. Just back then, 1961-62, the liberal Democratic President John F. Kennedy stated that revenues are too low because Taxes are too high, and we've got to reduce taxes in order to gain revenue immediately. Ronald Reagan, 1980, 81, a 25% across the board tax cut. The result, a 4% increase in the gross domestic product, which is fantastic, as you know. Unemployment, 9.8%, dropped to 5%. Revenue increased $600 billion to $990 billion.
Yeah.
Now, these people are going to scream, oh, the deficit went up. Sure, it went up because the liberal Congress spending went from $800 million to $1.1 trillion.
Yeah.
Fiscal 1989, if the Congress, that liberal radical...
First of all, let me say that I was very sorry to hear about Tony of Brooklyn, who died last week. He was a good friend and a great ally in the fight against the left wing in this country. And he was not an angry man. He was passionate about his feelings, like all conservatives. And Thomas Jefferson said, nothing in life worthwhile is ever accomplished without passion. And that's what we conservatives are, passionate, not angry. Secondly, last week you had that vicious Carl who called you up and said, do you really think we saw the real Republicans at their convention? Bob, does anybody really believe that they've seen the real Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton when they're interviewed? Or any? What else? He got it all backwards. Yeah, they smile and talk about what good people they are, lamps and ashtrays at each other in their bedroom. And over the weekend, I heard Al Gore mention that insipid withering on the vine remark again, accusing Newt Gingrich of saying that about Medicare. Newt Gingrich did not say that about Medicare. He said it about the program that's used to finance Medicare should allow to wither on the vine because it's a disaster and Medicare is going bankrupt. And, you know, Bob, after... I'm still angry at the biasness from the Republican convention. After the tribute to Ronald Reagan, Tom Brokaw said, it remains to be seen how history judges Ronald Reagan with deficits and Iran-Contra, as though that's all Ronald Reagan should be remembered for. But the Democrats sure don't mind hoarding in on the credit for defeating communism, but they've tried their best to thwart us from that goal, opposing our policies to defeat communism. And when they show that tribute to Ron Brown tonight, I wonder if he's going to turn around and say, it remains to be seen how history judges Ron Brown with shady financial dealings. And then there was a woman reporter who said to a black on the Republican floor at the convention, don't you feel lonely? If I was that black person, Bob, that delegate, I would have said to her, no. I don't feel lonely. As long as I'm among Americans, I'm not lonely. And how dare you lump me in as a group, you bigot? We've got to turn the tables on them. And then Tim Russett said, no, not one Republican I met has read the platform. Well, Bob, not one Democrat that I know of read Hillary Clinton's health care program. Only Betsy McCoy read it, and she informed us about it, and that's why it was rejected. And then they also said the Republicans are trying to appear more inclusive and tolerant. Bob, where's the tolerance and inclusiveness at the Democratic convention? I understand they're not going to allow Jimmy Carter to appear there. I wonder why, Bob. Could it be because Jimmy Carter is a reminder of the worst president this country's ever had? Bill Clinton running a close second? And, Bob, they won't let the ex-governor of Pennsylvania speak because he's disagreed with Bill Clinton at times. You see what phony diversity they have, Bob? You can look different, but if you think different than Democrats are supposed to think, you're an outcast, these hypocrites. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, John. All right.
Boys, on behalf of the guys, on behalf of the guys that know where it's at. And by the way, you know I like Joe Pesci. He reminds me of myself when I see him in the movies. Anyway, we endorse Bobby Torricelli.
Thank you, Paul Needlenose Minaj. And now, Steve Reggie.
Okay, if you're heading outbound, Lincoln Tunnel, it's about 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes on the inbound side as well there, Bob. And the Holland Tunnel, that's about a 10-minute wait in both directions as well. Eastbound Southern State, you'll see some delays around Peninsula Boulevard, around the Meadowbrook, and around Wantagh Parkway. Eastbound LIE remains quite slow in some parts of Suffolk County. There was an earlier accident out by Ocean Avenue. That's cleared now. Northbound 1 and 9 clearing an accident up by Delancey Street at Newark Airport. No other 91 octane quenches your car's thirst better than Exxon 91 Supreme. If your car can benefit from higher octane, put a Tiger in your tank. That's a look at traffic on the Bob Grant Show on WOR.
When you shop for a mortgage, you want a low rate, but that's only one reason home buyers do better at Emigrant Savings Bank.
Emigrant wasn't the only bank we called, but it was the one we chose. They had the low rates we wanted, but what sold us was they didn't try to sell us on any one loan. Their mortgage consultant really worked to get us the right financing, and she had more options than the other places we called. In every way that was important, we did better at Emigrant.
We weren't ideal mortgage applicants. He had changed jobs, and I was fresh out of grad school. But there was this old Victorian we couldn't pass up, if we could get a bank to pass on us. At Emigrant, our mortgage consultant said, there's no ideal application. Each one's evaluated on its own merits. And now, we're Victorian homeowners who did better at Emigrant.
In New York City, Long Island, and Westchester, when it comes to saving, managing, or borrowing money, you'll do better at Emigrant Savings Bank, established 1850, equal housing lender, member FDIC.
WOR, Radio 710, America's talk and information station, informs you about WOR contest rules. You must be 18 years or older. No purchase necessary. Prices have no exchange value. Winners are responsible for taxes and agree to sign WOR documentation. Only one winner per household every 30 days. For complete rules for specific WOR contests, send a stamped self-addressed envelope to WOR Contest Rules, 1440 Broadway, New York, New York, 10018. You're listening to America's talk and information station, Radio 710, WOR.
Two of the best restaurants in New Jersey are Bloomfield Steak and Seafood and Meadowlands Steak and Seafood. Take it from me, these are a must for those who love superb food, exceptionally generous portions, and old-fashioned hospitality. Both are rated 3 stars by the Star Ledger and renowned for mouth-watering prime-aged, char-grilled black Angus steaks, succulent prime ribs, spicy shrimp in garlic sauce, swordfish, salmon, scallops, and numerous chef specialties. Bloomfield Steak and Seafood in Bloomfield is an old-fashioned delight with an outdoor patio for cocktails and dining. And Meadowlands Steak and Seafood in Little Ferry, just 2 miles from the sports complex, excels in friendly service and fun with a large screen TV. For reservations and directions, call 1-800-70-STEAK in Bloomfield or 1-800-50-STEAK in Little Ferry. Meadowlands and Bloomfield Steak and Seafood. New York steaks at Jersey prices. How can you really tell a good vitamin from the rest? Well, first and most important, it's the way people feel. Stronger, increased energy, a feeling of wellness are just some of the many comments received by the Green Turtle Bay Vitamin Company, makers of all natural Power Vites and Power Mate. Power Vites is a high-energy complex without the stomach-irritating iron. Power Mate is an herbal antioxidant that protects you from everyday pollutants. And now there's a physician-formulated multivitamin for people with or predisposed to diabetes called Diabetics. Spelled with a K, it's replete with antioxidants and bioflavonoids to fortify the circulatory system. Power Vites, Power Mate, and now Diabetics. Effective products offering extraordinary nutrition. Ask for them at Genevieve's and many fine drug and health food stores. To find out more, call 1-800-TURTLE-5. That's 1-800-TURTLE-5. Or visit them on the web at energywave.com. Arthur from Pelham, New York, on the Bob Grant Show. Hello, Arthur.
Yes, Mr. Grant. I want to take you back to 1983. Do you remember Frank Lautenberg's 1983 senatorial campaign against Millicent Fenwick?
Of course I do.
She was a grandmother, a widow, a very, very sweet, matronly lady.
He ran the dirtiest, filthiest campaign in the history of New Jersey.
Which, of course, is easy for a slime ball like Lautenberg.
Right. Nobody in the news media said a word. There wasn't a peep. These are the same media people who were telling us that the public is turned off by negative advertising.
Yeah, that's true. Manhattan,
I'm not Carl.
Why are you calling back and saying you're John?
I am John.
Doesn't he sound like Carl of Manhattan?
I'm John, for crying out loud. You could check the telephone.
How could I check the telephone?
Well, I don't know. I'm telling you the truth. Would you just let me explain?
I'll let you explain, but I still have my doubts.
Okay. Believe me, I'm John. Okay. It's a known fact that the Jews financed slavery. Is it or is it not?
Finance slavery?
About the usual suspects. The usual suspects are at it again. Maxine Waters, John Conyers, Jesse Jackson. Now they're claiming that the CIA brought crack cocaine into South Central Los Angeles, dealt with the gangs over there to finance the freedom fighters of Nicaragua. And they're demanding a congressional investigation of this. Well, coming along with this are lawyers for the Louis Farrakhan Nation of Islam cult who want to sue the federal government, claiming that this crack cocaine, which was supposedly brought in by the CIA, has done harm to individuals and that they're actually the victim. Well, if they're going to sue the CIA, the government, on these cockamamie allegations, will this same cult then sue Jewish doctors in Chicago who they claim invented AIDS? Will they then sue Church's Fried Chicken, who they believe contains, as was seen on 2020, some special chemical that sterilizes black men? Or perhaps they'll sue Snapple, which they believe is owned by the KKK because the K, which stands for kosher on the bottle, they claim it stands for the fact that its symbol, that it's owned by the Ku Klux Klan. Are we going to allow our money to be thrown away on some insane and bizarre paranoid belief? Because it comes down to that everything is a conspiracy. I demand that Maxine Waters have an federal congressional investigation if she wants to find out who's been bringing drugs into this country on the Castro brothers. Because Fidel and Raul Castro are two of the biggest drug dealers in the Western Hemisphere. And they started dealing drugs since the days of the early 60s when they struck a deal with Santos Traficante. But, you know, Bob, when we think of this bizarre paranoia, and it's all over the media, and it's gaining credibility, one, because it slanders the legacy of the Reagan administration, which defeated the Stalinistas of Nicaragua, and the other is quite simple, because those who use drugs are not really criminals, they're the victims. And what is the real deal behind this? The real deal is that the usual suspects were claiming that sentences for the users of crack cocaine are racially discriminatory. So therefore, by trying to say that this was a conspiracy, all of those who've been in jail for selling crack cocaine are not really criminals, they're victims. You see, there can't be any criminals, only victims. You know, Bob, if we're going to do that, I demand that we have a congressional investigation, because I believe that renegade extraterrestrials from the Reticuli galaxy have been abducting bus drivers in New York City. That's why I can't get a bus on time. Because if you're going to believe that, then you're going to believe what the usual suspects say. Thank you.
Vintage Frank, ladies and gentlemen, magnificent. And isn't it interesting in this country that a person, a private citizen such as Frank of Queens, will address this issue so artfully, so articulately. And yet, where are our leaders? Why aren't leaders addressing the outrage of the slander enunciated by people like Maxine Waters. And by the way, John Stossel, who is a dear friend and who does such a magnificent job and is the only worthwhile reason to watch 2020, did a 2020 report on stories that the African-American community believes Snapple is owned by the KKK. And that Church's chicken is poisoning the black community. By the way, Church's chicken, I'm told, is only located in black neighborhoods. At any rate, God bless Frank of Queens. Roger from San Francisco. Hello, Roger.
Hello, Bob. How are you this evening?
Well, we've been having a magnificent program today, so I'm feeling fine.
Well, I know I've been listening to most of it. I've been trying to get you out here. I think I found a station that may carry you. It's recently gone to talk, and it's got a weak format right now, and you're exactly what they need.
Roger, I deputize you to represent the WOR radio network and get us on that dial.
Well, I'd love to. Even though we don't share the same politics, I think it's exciting talking to people who don't agree with you. If you treat people fairly, it's interesting, a wonderful talk radio. Now, the reason I called was the Middle East. Bob, do you remember when I was in Israel last, I sent you a card? I sent it from Tel Aviv.
Yes, I do. I do recall. As a matter of fact, I remembered because you had said on the air, when you had called me on the program, you said you were going, and the next thing I knew, I got this card, right?
Well, I can tell you right now that it's a country that I love, and I love the people there. I've been there 4 times, and I'll probably spend my last days there.